They told you the story of two sisters. Isis, the brilliant, powerful, and fertile Queen of Heaven, the devoted wife and magical mother. And then there was Nephthys, the other one, the shadow sister, the barren one. A minor, obscure goddess who stood weeping in the background while her famous sister took center stage. They painted her as a footnote, a sidekick, a pale and sorrowful echo of Isis's glory. But that is a lie so complete, so insidious, that it may be the most successful act of spiritual suppression in all of history. For they did not just hide a goddess from you, they hid half of your own soul. Nephthys is not the shadow of Isis. She is the sacred darkness from which all light is born. She is not barren. She is the fertile void of all potential. She is not a sidekick. She is the silent, hidden pillar that holds up the entire temple of reality. They split the divine feminine in two and taught you to worship the light, the bright, the visible, the maternal Isis. And they taught you to fear, to pity, to ignore, and to misunderstand the dark, the hidden, the mysterious Nephthys. They did this because a person who embraces only their light is predictable, easy to manage, and forever incomplete. But a person who has made peace with their own darkness becomes dangerously whole. They become sovereign. You were drawn to this hidden knowledge because the shadow sister in your own soul is stirring. She is tired of being ignored. She is ready to reveal the profound power that can only be found in the sacred, silent dark. To understand the truth of Nephthys, you must first unlearn the lie of her name. Her name in the ancient tongue, Nebet-Het, translates to the Lady of the House, or the Mistress of the Temple Enclosure. This is not the name of a secondary figure. It is a title of immense, hidden power. Isis, the great queen, may rule the outer, visible world, the public spaces of the temple. But Nephthys is the mistress of the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, the dark, silent, hidden chamber where the true mysteries are kept. She is the guardian of the sacred space within. She is the power that is found not in what is seen, but in what is unseen. While Isis is the manifest world, Nephthys is the mystery that lies behind it. She is the goddess of the veil. And then there is the lie of her barrenness. This was a patriarchal projection, a way to devalue a goddess who did not fit the simple role of wife and mother. Her barrenness was never a biological flaw. It is a profound spiritual symbol. Her womb is not empty. It is the fertile void. The prima materia of the alchemist, the sacred darkness of the cosmos before the first spark of creation, the deep silence from which the first divine word emerges. Her so-called barrenness is the state of pure, undifferentiated potential. It is the womb of all possibility. To the profane mind, this looks like nothing. To the initiate, this is the source of everything. Her primary role in the myths is as the guardian and protector of the dead, specifically of the mummified form of Osiris. She is the one who watches over the sacred wrappings. Again, this is not a minor, morbid task. The mummy's wrappings are a symbol of the chrysalis, the sacred container within which the soul undergoes its terrifying and beautiful transformation from a mortal being into an immortal one. Nephthys is the guardian of this liminal space, the space between life and death, between what you were and what you are becoming. She is the ultimate protector of the soul during its most vulnerable, transitional moments. She is the midwife of rebirth. You have felt her presence in your own life, every time you have felt an undeniable pull towards solitude. That deep need to retreat from the world, to be alone in your own sacred space, to shut the door and simply be with your own soul, that is the call of Nephthys. She is the part of you that knows that all true growth, all real transformation, does not happen in the noisy, sunlit world of action and performance. It happens in the hidden, dark, and silent chambers of your own heart. She is the mistress of your inner temple, and you have been taught to be afraid of spending time there. They want you to stay in the outer courts, distracted and entertained, because in the silent inner sanctuary, you might just meet the goddess herself. Some truths are meant to be kept in the hidden places. The initiatory journey into the sacred dark is not for everyone. It is for those who are called. If you are one of them, our free newsletter, Insights Academy, is where we share the deeper mysteries of the shadow feminine. Sign up with the link in the description. For a limited time, you will also receive a free copy of the Kybalion, a guide to the laws that govern both the seen and the unseen worlds. One of the most controversial and misunderstood myths in the entire Egyptian pantheon is the story of how Nephthys conceived her son, the god Anubis. The surface story is one of betrayal. Nephthys, the barren wife of the chaotic god Set, longs for a child. So she disguises herself as her beautiful, fertile sister, Isis, and seduces Isis's husband, the great Osiris. From this illicit union, Anubis, the jackal-headed guide of the dead, is born. To the uninitiated, this is a tale of adultery, deception, and family drama. But to the mystic, this is a breathtakingly sophisticated alchemical formula. It is a coded map that reveals how your greatest inner guide is born. Let us decode the alchemy. Nephthys represents the sacred darkness, the undifferentiated prima materia, the unawakened parts of your own soul. But she yearns. She is not content to stay in the darkness. She yearns for the divine order, for the light, for the organizing principle of the cosmos, which is represented by Osiris. So she disguises herself as Isis. This means that your own inner darkness, your shadow self, must consciously choose to put on the mask of the light. It must aspire to the highest. It must, with focused intention, seek union with your own highest divine potential, your inner Osiris. This is not a trick. It is an act of sacred will. Your darkness must choose to serve the light. And from this union of the conscious shadow, Nephthys, and the divine principle, Osiris, a child is born, Anubis. Anubis is the one who can see in the dark. He is the master of the underworld, the perfect guide for the soul's journey through the most difficult passages. This is the formula. Your darkness, when it consciously and lovingly unites with your highest spiritual ideal, gives birth to the very guide you need to navigate your own inner darkness. Your greatest wound, when brought to the light, creates your greatest wisdom. Your deepest shadow, when faced with courage, gives birth to your most powerful ally. And what of Isis's reaction? When she discovers the betrayal and the illegitimate child, she is not angry. She does not seek revenge. Instead, she immediately adopts Anubis as her own son, loving him and protecting him as her own. This is the key to integration. Your light self, your conscious personality, must not judge or reject the child of your shadow's yearning. It must embrace it. It must love it. It must integrate the wisdom born from your darkest, most desperate moments. The parts of you that you think are illegitimate, the aspects of yourself that were born from your mistakes, your secret desires, your shadow explorations, These are not to be cast out. They are to be brought into the light and loved as a sacred part of your wholeness. This is the path of radical self-acceptance. Think of your own life, the times you have felt a deep, soul-level dissatisfaction with your assigned role. The moments you have betrayed the person everyone thought you were in a desperate search for something more real, more true. That was your inner Nephthys, seeking union with a higher principle. The strange gifts, the unusual wisdom, the deep empathy that was born from your most painful experiences. That is, your inner Anubis, the sacred guide born from the darkness. You are not meant to be a simple, one-dimensional being. You are a complex web of light and shadow. And true divinity is born from the sacred marriage of the two. In the central drama of Osiris's death and resurrection, Isis is rightfully seen as the great heroine, the one whose questing love brings her husband back from the dead. But the story is incomplete without her silent, powerful twin. Nephthys is the unsung heroine of the entire myth. While Isis travels the world searching for the scattered pieces, Nephthys performs an equally crucial, though hidden, role. When Osiris is murdered, both sisters grieve. Their grief is so powerful it is said to shake the heavens, but their expressions of grief are different, and this reveals their distinct powers. Isis's grief is active, external, and questing. It propels her out into the world. Nephthys's grief is internal, still, and holding. She does not leave. She stays with the body. She is the silent witness to death. She is the one who is not afraid of the stillness, the darkness, the profound emptiness of loss. While Isis is the force of seeking, Nephthys is the force of being. She is the deep, grounding presence that holds the sacred space for the transformation to occur. This is a power our modern world has completely forgotten. We are taught to be like Isis, to do something about our grief, to stay busy, to search for answers, to fix the problem. We are terrified of the Nephthys principle, the simple, still, and courageous act of being present with our pain without needing to change it. Together, the two sisters take the form of kites, sacred birds of prey, and fly over the dismembered body of Osiris. Their shrill, piercing cries are not just a lament. They are a magical incantation, a vibrational call that pulls his scattered soul back from the void. They are performing the resurrection together. Without Nephthys's deep, resonant, holding frequency, Isis's active, questing magic would have no anchor. One is the voice, the other is the silence that makes the voice audible. Nephthys is the midwife of resurrection. She tends to the dead form. She guards the sacred space. She holds the darkness so that the light has a container within which to be reborn. She is the quiet, steady hand in the dark. She is the calm in the eye of the storm. She is the unshakable faith that after the dissolution, there will be a reconstitution, and this is her power within you. It is the part of your soul that can endure the dark night. When your world has fallen apart, when you are in the depths of grief, loss, or despair. The Isis part of you may be frantically searching for a way out. But the Nephthys part of you is the source of your resilience. It is the quiet, deep strength that allows you to simply survive the void. The part that knows that this, too, shall pass. The part that can sit in the ashes, hold the emptiness, and wait with patient, solemn knowing for the dawn. You have been taught to fear this stillness, to see your periods of depression or grief as a failure. You have been told to get over it, to move on. But Nephthys teaches that you cannot move on until you have moved through. You must be willing to sit with the dead body of your old life, your old self, your old dream. You must be willing to grieve it fully. It is in that sacred, dark, and still space of Nephthys that the seed of your own resurrection is silently gestating. She is not the goddess of death. She is the goddess of the sacred space between death and rebirth. And to befriend her is to lose your fear of all the endings in your life. The rise of the great patriarchal, dualistic religions required a war on wholeness. They needed a world of simple binaries, good and evil, light and dark, God and devil, heaven and hell. And in this new, flattened reality, there was no room for a goddess as complex, paradoxical, and powerful as Nephthys. The sacred darkness she embodied had to be not just ignored, but actively demonized. And so they split the great goddess in two, and a war was declared on the half of reality she represented. They created a light-only spirituality. They exalted the bright, life-giving, maternal, and fertile aspects of the divine feminine and projected them onto figures like Isis, and later, the Virgin Mary. These were the good goddesses, the acceptable faces of the feminine. But the other half, the dark, the mysterious, the sovereign, the death-wielding, the sexual, the untamable, this half was ripped away and turned into a monster. The sacred darkness of Nephthys became the profane darkness of the demon. She is a quintessential crone archetype. The crone is the third face of the triple goddess, the wise old woman who has journeyed through maidenhood and motherhood and has arrived at a place of profound wisdom. She is comfortable with death, with decay, with endings, with the mysteries. She holds the wisdom that can only be gained by walking through the fire and surviving the dark night. But the new systems, obsessed with youth, fertility, and eternal life, could not tolerate the crone. They taught you to fear her. She became the ugly old hag in the woods, the terrifying witch who eats children. This was a direct assault on the archetype of feminine wisdom, a campaign to make you fear the very part of yourself that holds your deepest power and resilience. The consequences of this great split are the spiritually impoverished world you live in today. We are a culture that is pathologically terrified of the dark. We are terrified of endings. We are terrified of grief. We are terrified of stillness. We are terrified of the unknown. We are addicted to the light, to constant growth, to endless progress, to forced positivity. We have no idea how to navigate loss, how to honor endings, or how to find the potent medicine that is hidden in our own sorrow. We have become spiritually incomplete, living only half a life, constantly running from our own shadows. The modern spiritual phenomenon of spiritual bypassing, using love and light platitudes to avoid the messy, painful, and necessary work of facing one's own darkness, is the direct legacy of the suppression of Nephthys. We have become a culture of spiritual bypassers because we have forgotten the goddess who teaches us how to go. They did not just take a goddess away from you. They took away your ability to be whole. They left you with an impossible ideal, to be all light, all the time. And every time you failed, every time you felt grief or anger or despair, you felt like a spiritual failure. You were taught to judge and reject the very parts of yourself that hold the keys to your deepest healing and your most profound power. The war on Nephthys was a war on your wholeness. It was a war designed to keep you forever striving, forever fragmented, and forever dependent on an external authority to save you from a darkness they themselves had taught you to fear. The time of forgetting is over. The shadow sister is stepping out of the background. The return of the dark goddess is one of the most powerful and necessary spiritual movements of our time. The global awakening of interest in shadow work, in healing ancestral trauma, in honoring grief, in embracing the full, messy, beautiful spectrum of the human experience. This is the mass return of Nephthys consciousness. People are tired of the hollow promises of light-only spirituality. They are ready to get real. They are ready to get whole. They are ready to walk into the darkness and reclaim the lost half of their soul. And you are part of this return. To awaken your inner Nephthys is to become the mistress of your own inner temple. It begins with a sacred act of creating and honoring your own solitary space. A place where you can be undisturbed, in silence, with no distractions, and simply be with yourself. This is not selfish indulgence. It is a spiritual necessity. It is in this silent, hidden space that you can begin to hear her voice. You must practice being in stillness, in the barren void, without needing to fill it with noise or activity. Learn to befriend the silence. It is not empty. It is pregnant with wisdom. And you must have the courage to face your own darkness, to explore your own shadow, to ask the difficult question, what parts of myself have I rejected, denied, or abandoned because I was taught they were unlovable? This is the quest for your own lost pieces. And you must learn to honor your grief. Your sorrow is not a sickness, it is a sacred river. To feel your grief fully, without judgment, without rushing it, is a profound act of healing. It is the water that cleanses the soul and prepares the ground for new life to grow. Your grief is not a sign of your weakness. It is a sign of your capacity to love. Nephthys is the one who teaches you how to weep, not in despair, but as a form of holy prayer. And here is the ultimate paradox, the great secret of the two sisters. The more you befriend your darkness, the more you honor your inner Nephthys, the brighter your inner light, your Isis, can shine. You cannot have a brilliant light without a deep and profound darkness to contrast it with. By going into your shadow, you do not become a darker person, you become a more luminous one. Your light becomes authentic, grounded, and unshakable because it is no longer afraid of its own shadow. You become an integrated being, a walking symbol of the two sisters, hand in hand. You are the light and the dark. You are the life and the sacred space between lives. You are the joy and the sorrow. And in that wholeness, you find a peace that the fractured world can never understand. Nephthys is not a forgotten goddess. She is the half of your soul that you have been taught to forget. She is the silent, steady, and infinitely loving guardian of your deepest mysteries. The deepest initiations into the shadow are not for the timid. They are for the soul that is ready to die to who they thought they were, to be reborn as who they truly are. If you are ready for that journey, our newsletter, Insights Academy, is where we walk into the dark together. The link is in the description. Join us and receive your free copy of the Kybalion. The Lady of the Temple is waiting for you in the silent sanctuary of your own heart. It is time to come home. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting. I understood it.